Hello again. Still in Los Angeles here on this Sunday afternoon. We're going to take advantage of this to really focus on some what I call local wines. I mean, this is not Napa, this is not Oregon, this is really in the region here. We're talking the Santa Barbara, Santa Ynez, Santa Rita Valley, the canyon there. So with Lompoc, Los Olivos, those little towns. So maybe 100 miles from here, 120 miles, maybe less than 100 miles from downtown LA, because here I'm on the southern end of this. And so to me, this is what's really where you have to go to find good local wineries. I mean, there are local wineries closer, but that's not the quality that we are seeing from this area yet. And today I've chosen to share with you 4 Syrah from this area. I've tasted all, I think definitely 3, if not all 4 of these with you before, but this is a good way to maybe see what's going on and maybe compare a little bit. Again, this is not about, hey, what's better, what's not. It's not necessarily a comparison per se, but when you have several options, it's good to look at them at the same time and see what's what. So these 4 Syrah, first there's a Syrah from Stolpman called So Hot. I'm going to comment on each separately. Then one from Shokrian, which I like, called Black Coq Sans Soufre. Black cock means black rooster in French, without sulfur. These 2 have no sulfite added. This is Holus Bolus Syrah. That's Black Sheep Finds is the name of the property. They make Holus Bolus and they make Joy Fantastic Syrah as well. These 2 are 2018, these 2 are 2019. I bought all of these during my visits to this vineyard, so this is something that I was able to taste and enjoy and decide to buy. And I just wanted, again, to spend more time commenting on what we can find around here. And again, in this region, now they make really good Syrah, really good Pinot, good Chardonnay, good Rhône white blend, Roussanne, Marsanne, Grenache. I mean, it's really been a very interesting development where you have such a variety of varietals and blends in one not very large area. No Cabernet, for that you have to go up to Paso Robles, but still you have a lot of good things going on in that region, and I just wanted to support that and talk about it. Stolpman is really one of the more established houses in the region. They have really good range and variety with a lot of focus on Grenache and Syrah. They have alumni. I mean, they get into the point now where Stolpman alumni go on to start other things, like these guys. The founder came from Stolpman. And so it's kind of a nice way to have this thing develop and the network sort of to grow in the area. They make a line called So Fresh, and this is one of them. This is the So Hot Syrah out of the So Fresh line. I'm not sure why they picked the hot word, but because this is a fresh, lightweight Syrah that they're trying to make to kind of step away a little bit from the heavier, more concentrated ones. So this is really, it's harvested a little bit early. It's trying to kind of keep the maturity sort of in check. And it's it's whole clustered primarily, and it's no sulfite added. So it's really much more natural, let's say. And when I first opened it, it was really pretty funky, and I think you're gonna get that with these too, but it dissipated very quickly, and that's gotta be the lack of sulfites. On the color, it is really typical Syrah. You would see that it's dark, it's a little bit purple, and a little bit murky, but I like that. The nose is very aromatic. You've got a lot of flower petal, maybe a little bit of that violet, so typical to Saint Joseph. Sort of this dark, not necessarily dark, but cassis, floral, fruity, light, goes really quickly. Really reminds me of a really nice, fresh, young Saint Joseph. And so I think that was the idea, and that I think they pulled it off very well. Shokrian, somebody we talked about, he was a Hollywood sort of producer and writer, and then he decided to start making wine a few years ago, and he moved a little bit north, and I went to see him, and we had a great afternoon together. Really terrific guy to visit. And so this was my favorite wine at the time, that his no sulfide, whole cluster, sort of fresh, Syrah. 2019, these two are 2019, these two are 2018, if I haven't said that already. And the color here, again, is very, very deep, very purple, dark purple, almost red, very similar to the first one. A little more reserved on the nose, not as much. And when I opened it, you had a lot of that funkiness, but again, that dissipated very quickly. Not as much aromatics on the nose, a little bit more subdued, but more on the fruit side, dark, deep red fruit. On the palate, it's a little more substantive, a little more dark chocolate. It's got a bit of a finish. It's really a good balance between something that you want to be able to drink young and something that still has some density and some matter to it. Really well put together. These guys started their winery, Peter and his wife, I don't know, a little while ago. He came from Stolpman. She still works in marketing at Kermit Lynch, so they're both in the wine business, let's say, and it's really terrific because they've been able to do their own passion, independently. Holus Bolus is a Syrah that is made with grapes from the John Sebastiano vineyard. It's a very well-known vineyard in the region. Other people have access to it. It's really on the eastern edge of that whole valley, which, as we discussed before, is probably one of the only valleys in the world that goes sort of east to west, so west to east rather. So you've got the Pacific wind and breezes going all the way through all the different vineyards and the exposures that they have in this valley, as opposed to most valleys that kind of go like this and they're crossed by the wind. So very interesting layout. A lot of people really managed to take advantage of that at different elevation. This is a high elevation wine at 1,200 feet, but again, all the way on the end, at the eastern end of the region. It's very light in color, lighter than the others. And again, maybe you don't see that, but it is lighter, maybe less extracted, so very light. Also very aromatic. You've got that same sort of violet, flower on the nose. A little sharper, a little more acidity in the mouth. And that's sort of what you'd expect if you're trying to drink I go back to sort of a nice young Saint Joseph. So that sort of works in that direction. This is Joy Fantastic. This is their own vineyard, Black Sheep Vines. And it's on the other end. It's on the western end of the region, closer to the Pacific, one of the further sort of the westernmost, vineyards. And again, that brings its own characteristics from the temperatures and the sun and the exposures and the wind and all that kind of good stuff. This is really a little darker, so this is something that's a bit more substantive, I think. You can see that on the color. On the nose, it's more, I get more like this sort of mature, ripe cherries. So not necessarily sharp, not vivacious in the first one, like the first one, but a different kind of density. And on the palate, it's really an interesting combination of sort of ripe cherries and kind of chocolate cream, sort of more on the milky side, a little bit milky, a little bit sweeter. Very interesting combination that really works for me because it is unusual. I think these two wines here are sort of have a little bit more matter, a little bit more density, but they're still very approachable today. And those two are fresher, maybe more Saint Joseph like, not to be too sort of stereotypical, but this region has really managed to come up with some very good Syrah that have sort of shied away, thankfully, from like the deep, strong, syrupy West Coast Syrah that used to be made into sort of fresher, a little bit more elegant, more inspired by what's going on in the Rhône area, but at the same time still retaining that freshness and that not the freshness necessarily, but that intensity that you can find in California wines. Terrific, great wines, highly recommended for the area, and then certainly worth a trip. Cheers, and see you soon.